Every unit in One Piece Bounty Rush takes a different level of skill to play, and today I will break down the skill levels required to play every single unit in the current meta. The units will be broken apart in tiers of beginner, which refers to units that have insanely broken kits, and even a toddler could use them, and possesses an ability to carry you all the way to SS with minimal difficulty. Basic, which refers to units that aren't as brain dead but are still very easy to use. The advanced tier, which refers to units whose kits are very clunky and slightly outdated, which then leads to relatively high struggle when playing with them, oftentimes making SS League hard if you aren't skilled enough. And lastly, the expert tier, which refers to the absolute skill-based units which can't be used properly by the average player if they aren't familiar with the unit's mechanisms. So I'll begin with the expert tier and go down to the beginner tier. So to kick off the expert tier, I have Kairos. He takes a very high level of skill due to the fact that he doesn't have protection like Sabo. He's a paramecia merchant and has to be used very carefully and skillfully to take full advantage of his skills, traits, and counters. Next up is Wapol. Wapol was always a rather mediocre unit even when he first came out, with his wonky running skill that could barely even do anything. It's like a whole waste on his kit. But he does have a busted hold M1 or normal that he can definitely take advantage of if the player is very adept at reading traits and knowing when to reflect the damage. Kakuzo or Kakuzuro. This one is gonna be a tad bit off-putting or just straight up angering to some of you, but let me explain. His skills are very slow and gives the enemy 3 business days to dodge or use an invincibility skill to just, iframe it. He feels like something that would have been dropped years ago, and this all leads to many players misusing him in League because they don't really understand proper timing or how to use him. I'm not saying that he's horrible or anything, he's definitely one of the top meta attackers, but he's a bit harder to use than the average attacker and needs a lot of brain cells and timing and skill to use properly, which is why he's in the expert tier. Next up is Dark Roger. Dark Roger could have easily been placed in the basic tier a few metas ago, but Roger became a victim that has to pay for the sins of the elders. Pretty much every single unit that comes out to counter the elders like Nasjuro will end up countering him, and it really cripples him as a unit. But he's still definitely one of the top meta runners. Now to kick off the advanced tier, we have 5 Elders Mars. It pains me to put Mars in the advanced tier since he has been so solid by helping his teams win games easily, but Mars needs a lot of skill to use properly. Many players refuse to watch guides or ask questions on how to use the unit's skills effectively, how to avoid his counters, or even something as simple as learning how to play like a pure runner, which leads to him being a useless slot on the enemy team or on your team if they don't understand his kit. Next up is Kuzon. Kuzon is easily one of the top 5 defenders that can really help your team win games, but he is very reliant on his wall, so if he doesn't have it or it gets broken, a player needs to be very adept at dodging until they get it back to avoid being one-tapped by a stray Zonji, and also be very good at reading the map to prevent runners from turning the game around. Please note though that Zonji can one-tap him, particularly Zoro. Sanji can't, but Zoro can. If you don't believe me, check out the second to last chart that I posted. Next up is Blackbeard V2. Now Blackbeard is definitely one of those units that feel broken, but he is very squishy and reliant on his wall to not die all the time. Players need to be very adept at using his counter and smart with using his gauge skills to really turn games around. If they aren't good at using him, it causes problems. Next up is Bluffy, or Blue EX Luffy. He's another unit that needs a considerable level of skill and timing to use properly because of his glass cannon kind of build. Luffy is a unit that needs to take advantage of crowds to get his stacks and heals, and also slowly kill horrid units like Zoro and Sanji. His runner farm is also very underused by the average player, but a true Bluffy main understands the best times to use it to easily turn games around. Whitebeard. Whitebeard was once in the beginner tier defender list, literally, an update ago, but after the release of Mars, he has become a unit that you have to use incredibly properly fine-tuned and exact to not lose games or have all of your flags taken by the Rainbow Bird. He is definitely one of those units that have the potential to be broken again if Mars leaves the meta though. Next up is EX Law. EX Law is a pure runner like Mars that needs precise timing, and unlike Kairos, has a better counter that makes getting flags easier and more effective if you're good at using them. He's definitely one of those units that can turn games around in the very last second if played carefully. But like Law, there is Sabo. Sabo is a unit that requires a very high skill level to use his skills properly, precisely and without waste of his counters, which could lead to him being punished if he uses it at the wrong time, because unlike Law or Kairos, Sabo doesn't have a gimmick like the 1 HP trait that helps him stay alive if he accidentally wastes his counter. Gear 5 version 1 or Wano Gear 5, not Egghead Gear 5. He's a unit that requires perfect timing to use his counter so he can slowly stack up his Batarang guns. I've seen so many Gear 5 sell games just by making a singular mistake with their counters or by forgetting that they have the ability to actually cap flags when defenders aren't around. It is important and vital that you understand his traits and know when to counter in order to not waste his skills and counters. Now, to kick off the basic tier, we have Zonji. Now I know y'all might be surprised that Zonji or Zoro and Sanji aren't in the beginner tier of brain deadness, but I can explain. Now normally, they would easily be in the brain dead tier, but they definitely are if the enemy team doesn't have a Zonji of their own. But Zoro and Sanji are split as two different units with their traits and skills split between each other. Many Zonji players don't know how to use Zonji's skill 2 or Zoro's skill 2 for specific units. For example, Zoro possesses the ability to easily one-shot units like Kuzan with his broken ignore defense Evo skill, cause it also burns, I'm pretty sure. While Sanji does the exact same to units like Whitebeard or Gear 5 version 2, due to the fact that Sanji ignores damage reduction and also possesses the ability to reduce defense, which helps him be kind of a hybrid workaround. Next up is Kuma Bunny. Kuma and Bunny are fallen beginner tier units that kind of fell off because their damage outputs have been reduced lately because of all the defensive gimmicks that have been getting released. So Kuma Bunny users need precise timing and usage of their skills to avoid getting killed before their opponents die. Next up is Egghead Gear 5 or Gear 5 version 2. Now, this unit is once again another fallen beginner tier unit that needs a bit more skill now with doing things like guarding or having good map awareness to use his giant punches to put certain units out of commission. Defenders like Nesjuro, S-Snake, Kuzan, or even Lucci can definitely give him a hard time if the player doesn't know how to use him properly. Lucci version 2, which is the next in the basic tier. Lucci V2 is a very good defender that has traits that make him easily stop pretty much every runner in the game, with the exception of the ones that have a lot of lives. He's not necessarily hard to use or anything, but sometimes the player needs to know when to use his skills, since it's very easy to bait him and make him waste them. Next up is King V1. King V1 is currently easily one of the top 5 runners in the game, but he needs a bit of skill to use in order to dodge properly and take enemy flags. He could have easily made it to the beginner tier if he didn't need proper timing with his dodges and good judgments to pick the right flags to go to. And now, kicking off the beginner tier, we have S-Snake. S-Snake is a very brain dead EX that only needs to sit on the flag every game and do the bare minimum of watching the map to guard the right treasures. She has small flaws, but no unit is flawless, and she does her job with low blood pressure and minimal effort. Next up is Nusjuro. Now Nusjuro is a bit debatable, since Zoro and Sanji and Mars are in the meta, but Nusjuro is still a very brain-dead unit that needs minimal brain cells to use, if your teammates protect you from your counters, that is, like Mars or Zanji. He's definitely a unit that can still easily help you win games because of how fast he charges treasures and takes out most of the meta runners, but he needs a lot of help to not get one-tapped by Zanji out of the blue. But he can easily play as a hybrid attacker and take out the enemy's annoying runners if a Mars is there that's constantly stealing the flags, since he can't really defend them from Mars anyway. He can stall him for like 10 seconds, but that's it. And last but not least is Egghead Chopper. Egghead Chopper is one of those units that are very easy to use and only requires situational awareness to use his skills to one-shot literally everybody. But he has some slight flaws like being squishy, but it's no big deal. He's just that kind of unit that you can just click buttons and win games with, and that easily makes him end up in the beginner tier for units that even noobs can use. But that's it, y'all. I hope y'all really enjoyed this video. If there's any criticisms or things that you would put differently in the list personally, let me know down in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a subscribe if you actually enjoyed the video. And peace out. God bless y'all. Enjoy your day.